Greetings, dear viewers. The wheel has become such an ordinary thing for people that it's hard to imagine any alternative to it. Naturally, there are many other types of propulsion: tracks, augers, pneumatic rollers. The wheel is the most widely used on vehicles, including on motorcycles, which are the main topic of my channel. How do you like the idea of replacing wheels with balls? You might have seen a similar solution in the movie I, Robot, in one of the videos on the Garage 54 channel, and on this unique electric motorcycle created by engineer and quite popular YouTube blogger James Bruton. This motorcycle is equipped with balls instead of wheels and can move in any direction, even sideways. And now I'll tell you a bit more about this curiosity. You're watching CrossMoto. Enjoy watching. From custom electric bicycles to AT-AT walkers, James Bruton knows how to move in style. A British engineer and video blogger living in Southampton, United Kingdom, he is known for his innovative and curious projects, all handmade in his workshop. Bruton carefully documents his work in video format on his YouTube channel, which he launched alongside his own website in the mid-2000s and which has gathered a significant audience. In January 2025, James completed an electric motorcycle project in which 2 circus balls were used instead of 2 wheels. And a year later, that is, at the beginning of 2026, he presented a single-wheel design. And before we look at the technical side of these unusual homemade vehicles, let's briefly get to know their creator. James Bruton was born on June 10, 1976. As he himself states, he developed an interest in electronics at a very young age. Information about Bruton's education is quite limited. He mentioned that in the early 90s he studied at a university in Birmingham. James began his professional career in the information technology sector, working for about 10 years at an insurance company in general technical positions. This period gave him basic skills in computing and electronics, which later helped him in his engineering endeavors. After that, he moved on to toy development, joining a company called Blades Toys. While working in this position, he made a significant contribution to innovative toy projects, including the development and promotion of the Hot Wheels Drone Racers line, which consisted of mechanical and remotely controlled prototypes. His work focused especially on reimagining traditional toys using advanced technical solutions. In 2004, Bruton launched the X-Robots website. The site served as a platform for sharing information with online communities about his hobby projects involving robots and other mechanical and electronic things. This marked his gradual transition from traditional employment to independent engineering work. When YouTube launched, he started his own channel. By the end of the 2010s, Bruton's growing popularity on the internet and the financial independence he gained from it pushed him to fully focus on creativity and content creation. One of James Bruton's creative pursuits was omnidirectional bikes. And so, in 2024, the designer began creating another prototype using 2 rigid circus balls. These are so-called walking globes, which are used during circus performances. They are quite rigid, hollow inside, and this plug is used to fill the ball with the necessary amount of sand to weigh it down. James Bruton used these types of balls in his omnidirectional motorcycle design. It should be noted that the balls are not fixed in any way. They are attached to the motorcycle's chassis. They rest on rollers, some of which simply spin freely, while others are driven by electric motors. In these shots, you can clearly see that in certain situations, the frame with the drives and the rider can slip off the balls. Initially, James used 2 drives and 1 freely spinning roller for each ball. The engineer used all OD-drive brushless motors to drive the omnidirectional wheels. However, during testing, he found that this was not enough for confident forward and backward movement. So on the rear ball, the 3rd free spinning roller was replaced with a roller equipped with an electric motor. As a result, 5 all O-drive motors are used. And yes, the balls rest not just on rollers, but on omnidirectional wheels, or omni wheels. They are wheels with small freely rotating rollers arranged around the circumference, As a result, the wheel can rotate with full force, but at the same time, it can easily slide. At a certain stage of designing the motorcycle with balls instead of wheels, James experimented with the arrangement of the Omni wheels. For example, 4 with an angle of 90 degrees between neighboring drives. In the end, he settled on a version with 3 rollers and an angle of 120 degrees. Also, James Bruton initially had doubts about whether his new vehicle would even be able to balance and move in all directions. As you correctly understood, the Brit had enough engineering skills to solve these problems. Many parts of James Bruton's omnidirectional motorcycle are made using 3D printing. These include the motor and roller mounts, as well as other structural elements. The designer made the motorcycle frame from 40 by 40 aluminum profile with T-slots. This type of profile provides sufficient rigidity and strength to the structure, while also being lightweight. The profile is convenient for construction, allowing easy adjustments and part installation. The printed components are attached to the frame using aluminum plates. The motorcycle's electronic system is also impressive. It provides balance for the vehicle both when stationary and in motion. The key electronic components include all O-drive motor controllers. They provide torque and speed control for the most precise movement. The TIN-C41 microcontroller. It works together with the IMU inertial measurement unit for continuous balance adjustment. Adjustable twist grips. They provide intuitive steering and direction control. 6 lithium polymer batteries connected to create a 50-volt system, providing enough power for stable operation. At first, James tested the motorcycle without any controls to check its stability. After successful tests, he made the controls. 2 rotating grips, somewhat resembling a traditional throttle, were installed on the fixed handlebars, which would feel quite unusual for an ordinary motorcyclist. However, they basically work like a joystick on a remote control. The left grip controls the rotation of the motorcycle. Turning it upward makes the bike rotate clockwise, while turning it downward makes it rotate counterclockwise. The right grip controls forward and backward movement. Bruton developed the motorcycle control system using the C++ programming language on an Arduino platform, optimizing motor functions and balancing algorithms. The main principle of Bruton's invention is the use of omnidirectional wheels and motorized rollers to drive the spheres instead of direct torque transmission, as in traditional motorcycles. This allows movement in multiple directions, creating a unique riding experience. This vehicle, called the Omnidirectional ball-wheeled bike, is capable of moving in any direction while maintaining balance. Unlike conventional motorcycles, Bruton's technology reimagines the concept of mobility by integrating balancing technology similar to a Segway, but with the added ability for lateral movement and free rotation. Naturally, the design has its drawbacks and aspects that need improvement. Bruton faced the problem of static charge buildup in his design, which posed significant issues for the electronics, and the engineer himself received an unpleasant shock more than once. He had to connect all the metal parts together with a conductor. Since the motorcycle lacks gyroscopic stabilization, the system relies entirely on real-time adjustments. The inertial measurement unit, or IMU, constantly measures the tilt and direction of movement, making adjustments to keep the motorcycle upright. However, at high speeds, maintaining road grip and stability becomes a more challenging task. Dirt buildup and surface wear on the spheres caused major issues during testing. Regular maintenance is needed to prevent slipping and long-term wear.
Для предотвращения проскальзывания и износа с течением времени.
To improve maneuverability, Bruton experimented with 2 different control methods: lean control, where the rider shifts body weight to initiate a turn, and steering-controlled tilt. Handlebar movement determines the tilt direction. James also shared online the method of controlling his creation, as well as the construction details, which allows self-taught enthusiasts to create their own versions. Although this is primarily a conceptual development, at the moment it is only capable of moving confidently on a flat and clean surface indoors. The concept of using balls instead of traditional wheels hints at interesting possibilities for application in various industries. Industrial and warehouse robotics, omnidirectional movement is extremely relevant in confined spaces. Mobility assistance technologies. In other words, the technology could be useful in the production of various types of wheelchairs. A vehicle for stunts and extreme sports, omnidirectional movement opens up wide possibilities in this niche. And finally, personal transportation. However, the technology requires significant improvements before vehicles with balls instead of wheels appear on public roads. Perhaps in the future, this will be a new and interesting solution for urban transportation. And what do you think? Do balls have a future? And in which industry will this technology appear first? Be sure to write in the comments. At the end of this story, I want to say that the idea of using a ball instead of a wheel is not new and does not belong to James Bruton. It has long been described by science fiction writers and considered by engineers. For example, in the context of a motorcycle with balls instead of wheels, the work of students from the engineering faculty of San Jose University is well known, and it dates back to 2011. 3 students, Max Ratner, Henry Lee, and Andrew Palmer, created this as part of their graduation project. Inspired by the self-balancing technology used in Segway personal transport, Trio decided to apply the same principles to a motorcycle. The idea went through several stages of development before turning into the working prototype design you see in the image. James Bruton, like his fellow innovators from San Jose, created a very interesting motorcycle vehicle prototype that brings together bold ideas such as using a ball instead of a wheel, self-balancing, and omnidirectional movement. I don't rule out that some of the ideas implemented here will find applications in transportation and industry. This brings my story to an end. This was Cross Moto Channel. See you next time.